Welcome, my amazing viewers. Thank you so much for joining me on my program once again. I appreciate you wherever you are connecting from. If you have not subscribed to my channel, please kindly subscribe to my channel. Click the notification bell so that you'll be notified each time I upload a video. You will be among the first to receive it. Thank you so much and remain blessed. Whenever you look my video, whenever you watch my video, share the video to all platforms. Share it to family and friends. Share it in your WhatsApp group so that people can get information on what is happening in the contraption called Nigeria, mainly against the Biafrans, against the Duduas, against the indigenous people in the contraption called Nigeria. I try as much as possible to set the record straight. I don't preach hate speech. I don't speak against people. I set the record straight. The only important thing I do here is to make sure that the plight of the people remains on the front burner and the world will know the true story of what is going on in the contraption called Nigeria.
When a man starts, wakes up,
that's
this morning.
All right.
So let's walk.
Okay, so let's look at another issue which broke over the weekend, which got many Nigerians worried, and that's the attack on the Kaduna International Airport. Many people are asking if the bandits have gotten that effrontery to get right into the city center, get to the runway, and attack to the point that even a guard, manning one of the aviation aids equipment in that airport was gunned down. What does that say about the security? Do you see a breach of security, or do you see a lapse, or what exactly do you think happened?
Okay, so let's start by clearly asking the media to update its lexicon. Those people that had been hitherto called bandits are terrorists. We had made this case more than 2-3 years earlier before the National Assembly awoken to it, before the federal, the executive awoken to it. Now that we've agreed they are terrorists,
so
let us as media continually call that.
Because you see some still call them bandits.
Because
some
this is really very serious. After the 9/11 crisis in America, of course, America got obsessed with teaching police and security operatives about terrorism and all that. And a police officer was sleeping, and they asked him, "Man, wake up! This is the most important part of the workshop, of the training." He says, "What do you want to tell me about terrorism? I've been married for 6 years." So if he calls even having a difficult partner at home terrorism, then we cannot call people who will invade our runways at the airport bandits.
Kill a guard while at
Yes, they are pure and simple terrorists. There's nothing like that. See, when you operate in a way that rains terror on the people, I don't know how we developed even calling them bandits in the first place. They are terrorists. 1. 2, the same Kaduna has so many military formations. Yet it was in Kaduna that the Nigerian Defense Academy was invaded and people were kidnapped, some were killed, and nothing happened till this minute. You see, there is so much complacency. And Kaduna, which is the capital, sort of the headquarters of the northern political arrangement, has become even increasingly more unsafe than the northeast. Kaduna is now the epicenter of insecurity and terrorism. And it beats me hollow to think that that is where we have some of the highest numbers of military formations. And you have a Nasiru El-Rufai as governor. So I think that there is complacency, there is lack of seriousness in dealing with the matter. And that's the reason these things continually happen. Now you are talking about the runway because it happened in the elitist environment. But remember the kind of killings going on in southern Kaduna, which you could just call genocide. And nothing has happened. 58 were killed in the same Kaduna over the weekend.
Yeah.
So we cannot, and that's why it beats me. Festus Keyamo came out at the convention and said the APC has done better than the 16 years of PDP. You've done better in what sense? In making sure that Nigerians are losing their lives per second billing, and you are comfortable with it. That we are running into more than 2 months of fuel crisis in our country. Look, the government of the federal government and the government of Kaduna State must show that the lives of Kaduna people matter. If you do not need this invasion at the airport in the board, and it started with Kaduna, if it is not dealt with decisively, if the people are not fished out, then we have a lot to contend with. Because now most of us do not travel by road. We either go by train or we go by air. We had discussions behind the scene just now, and somebody was saying, this our partner who says his children cannot fly, cannot go by road, they must fly. What will he do now? And we say, no, it's a bit too early. The airport still remains the air flight still remain the safest way. But if we don't deal with it, then we will get to the point where terrorists are hijacking our planes.
And, and
that is going to be very ominous.
Let me thank God for the quick intervention of the military, that, you know, the whatever plan they had was foiled, so to speak. Because from the stories we read, it was even meant to be an attack on the plane. And it also affected some flights from moving as scheduled. But my worry really is that at the end of the day, the terrorists, none of them was apprehended in this attack. Okay, what we saw is that the military chased them away and they ran away. So where are they? Meaning they're still within the society and they could launch a re-attack if nothing is done. And that is where the worry is really.
That's the point exactly. And for those who have been caught, how many have been convicted? Every time we hear in hundreds the numbers of so-called arrested and de-radicalized insurgents. Every time we hear about that, and they are even being paid to be de-radicalized and all that. You see, deterrent must be enforced, and the only way you can do that is to make sure you convict and at the maximum penalty possible. That's the only way you can deter. Are you telling me that if we are serious about at least getting one or two of these people, we will not? That you chase them as if you are chasing chickens away? Nigeria is increasingly endangered, and we cannot sit down and say all is well. Today, it has happened in Kaduna, and nobody was caught. What it presupposes is that it has incentivized and emboldened whoever wants to try it anywhere else. And that is why we must get culprits when they come. And we must also discourage this whole idea of the military saying they have de-radicalized people and they pay them money and they ask them to get back into society. We cannot operate like that.
Doesn't it begin to question
the law must be enforced.
Begin to question the modus operandi of the military, because you would have thought that the military will go in there with a plan to apprehend. Because when you are able to apprehend, then you're able to foil, you know, or make sure that no other attack is carried out. And just like you said, apprehension will serve as deterrent to anyone else planning such a thing. How does the military...
How can you say we mean to really get rid of these insurgents? When Kaduna happened the way it happened, what is our Air Force doing? Are you saying that there cannot be a fighter yet immediately going after these people?
It also brings to remembrance the attack on the Defense Academy,
yes,
and the people that were killed there, you know, the officers that were killed there. We still haven't heard anything. Has anyone been apprehended?
In my opening remark on this matter, I mentioned it. Now, when you do not apprehend, or you look the other way, because remember, Dubai, several months ago, released a list of Nigerians funding insurgency.
Last week, the U.S. also did.
They released that list, and we asked the Nigerian government. We have a right to know. The Nigerian government owes us a responsibility to unveil those people. But the Nigerian government, till tomorrow, did not. Then the U.S. Embassy released a list of 6 people. Now, it beats you to wonder where the loyalty of the current leadership lies. Is the loyalty to Nigeria and Nigerians? Or is the loyalty to a few people? You wonder at it, because there is no justification on earth why you should continually shield names of people and you ask Nigerians to give information. United Arab Emirates gave you information, and you have not acted on the information. And the U.S. Embassy has acted on the information yesterday, on Friday, I think. So it makes it difficult when you do not inspire confidence and trust of the public, of the Nigerian citizen, because you act in ways that show that you are not serious about dealing with the matter. Why will a citizen of Nigeria give information about some uncanny activities going on in his area when he's not sure that you are not going to unveil him as the person who made such disclosure? That is the danger. And when you talk about insecurity and you talk about community policing, that is the danger. We've read and seen one case too many of Nigerians who will give information to the police about a criminal operation around, and they end up being endangered because the same security people will be the ones to say, this is the person who blew your cover. And the way we are acting, the way we have acted with the Defense Academy attack, the way we've acted with the... Look, somebody should be resigning already if insurgents will get into the airport or get into the NDA and nobody is caught. Till this minute.
All right, you mentioned about fuel earlier. I just wanted to, at this point, we will be talking about the very important security issue, what took place in Kaduna over the weekend. If you recall, there was a report about the threat to security as terrorists invaded the Kaduna International Airport and prevented Asman aircraft from taking off as scheduled for 12:30 p.m. on Saturday. Again, reports had it that unspecified number of terrorists were about to attack the plane, but normalcy was restored, thankfully, when soldiers stormed the area and foiled the attack. And needless to say, the situation has elicited a lot of concerns, and people are beginning to wonder how easy it was for the terrorists to get into the airport. What is happening with security, national security? Is it compromised? Are terrorists able to gain access to any part of the country at all when they desire? We'll be interrogating this issue with security strategist David Okoro, who is the CEO of the International Institute for Security and Governmental Issues Studies. I beg your pardon. David, good to have you with us.
Thank you very much, AIT. Glad to be here.
Welcome to the program.
Thank you.
Okay, let's quickly look at what happened at the Kaduna International Airport over the weekend. We've had attacks, really, in Kaduna in particular, but the fact that this time around, the attackers had the effrontery to get to the international airport and get into the runway and got as far as killing a guard on duty is a scary situation, isn't it?
Well, we've always known that this was possible, but I didn't quite realize the extent of what we're talking about until somebody sent me a video clip. And I'm still thinking that can't be Nigeria, where the pilot took a view of what was happening from the cockpit. On both sides of the runway were bandits on their machine, on their bikes, running on the two sides of the runway. It wasn't that the military scared them away. At the time that aircraft was taking off, if that video reflects what happened, the bandits were still on the tarmac. So, but like we said, what one sees is like we've given up on our willingness or ability to deal with the bandits and these criminalities, because you must realize, if you know the geography of the airport, Kaduna Airport, you will know that it is within the same general area as the Binigwari Forest, right? It is not far from from Nigeria Defense Academy. So the entire area is well known, and it's a bandit-infested area. That the fact that nothing has been done to protect that airport, that the bandits could come in and carry out their operations and leave. They said they repelled the bandits. What does it mean you repel the bandit? The bandit came the previous night at about 12 midnight. They operated, they were scared away. They were not really...
Again, bandits. Sorry, David. It's what we were talking about earlier. These are terrorists.
They're terrorists.
So we should get used to calling them terrorists rather than bandits.
No, they're actually terrorists. This is what happened. There is, over time, they became a synergy. Boko Haram saw the potential, or ISWAP and Ansaru saw the potentiality of collaborating with the bandits in order to be able to carry out their operations. See, we are less hard on the bandits. So what they just did was they entered into an agreement with the bandit, and so the people you actually saw on the tarmac were essentially terrorists.
Now, getting motorcycles into the runway is what I don't understand. There's supposed to be a perimeter fencing at the airport, right? Yeah. So how did they get access into the runway to be moving, on both sides, to the extent that even an aircraft that was already built to fly could not move as scheduled?
No, but when we talk about fences are just a restraining force. You can remove the fence, you can cut the barriers if you have the opportunity. The idea was that those fences were supposed to just restrain people for a short while before the security comes up. But here, there were no security in sight. The only guy who was there to raise alarm was shot. So there was no security. It's scary, really. It's scary that can happen. My fear is that we've really given up on our ability to address or to deal with the bandits. The political way doesn't seem to be there. Even the military way doesn't seem to be there to do it. And nobody can tell us.
Have we given up? Or you're a security strategist, and that's why I'm going to ask you this question. Have we given up, or is there something lacking in the strategy that we are using? Because after the initial attack at the Defense Academy in Kaduna, like you said, we've always known that those people have got guts. They can attack even institutions. If they can go to the military, institution to attack, then it means that every other place can be prone to attack. And don't forget that these attacks have been happening even in southern Kaduna, for a very long time. So, is there a breach in security, or is there a lapse in the strategy that is being used at the moment?
It's not a lapse in strategy, just lack of commitment to do what is right. In December, the president traveled to Maiduguri. I was here when we reviewed that incident, where before the president landed at the airport, bombs were dropping all around the airport. That was the number one citizen of Nigeria. So if what those terrorists tried to do, as I said here, was not that they didn't want to kill the president, but they wanted to prove the point. The airports in any country are some of the most highly protected critical infrastructure. The fact that it was possible for that number of bandits to get into the airport, to get into the tarmac, while they were aircraft getting ready to take off, tells you something is wrong. So you ask yourself, so where were all the military? Now, we are not talking of intelligence failure. Before they will say, it's intelligence gathering and all that. But we are saying, look, we are seeing them. The pilot is seeing, everybody is seeing the bandit, and nobody is doing anything about it. By the way, this is not the only. If you go to Niger State, you are being attacked by criminals, you are being attacked by terrorists, there will be no help coming from anywhere. This is the problem. We are not saying the attacks are not taking place, but that there's no help coming from anybody. So for me,
and this is where the concern, is. The report we have is that, the military came in and, were able to foil the attack. You were saying from the videos and the report that you got as a security expert that the military didn't foil the attack, which actually brought to our minds earlier today when we asked the question, why chase them away rather than apprehend them if the military had really been there in the first place? At what point do you know that the military was able to get to the airport, and what were they able to do at that time?
The report said the military repelled.
Yes, that's the report we have.
What does it mean to repel? You are not shooting to kill. You are not shooting to damage. You just want to scare them away. This is it. But you are talking about terrorists being at the nation's airport, and the military comes around. And you never heard of one casualty from the side of the. There are many, 200 people on bike all over the place, and not one was apprehended, and not one was shot. Nothing happened. So we really need to interrogate what is happening to our country. The governor of Kaduna State have said severally to our hearing that severally they tell the military where, their information is available, where the bandit terrorists are, their mode of operation, their location, and all that, and no action is taken. So it's not a problem of that the military does not have the information to act on. It's just that for whatever reason, these actions are not being seen to be taken.
All right. Many will be asking, why the shift to Kaduna now? Before, when we talk about insurgency, we talk about the northeast part of the country, you know. But today, we see more attacks in Kaduna in particular. The southern Kaduna, even as we're looking at the newspaper review this morning, we understand that 58 people, even over the same weekend, were killed in southern Kaduna. And this was the discussion we had last week about attacks on a particular part of a country, of a state that is governed by a governor, and you have so many military formations in the same place. So, as a security strategist, what could be wrong? What could be happening? And in particular with the southern Kaduna issue, why does it look as if the attack is being repeated and cannot be stopped?
I think that the southern Kaduna issue is political. But it didn't just start under this government. But I thought that under this government, that those political issues that are responsible for the attack will have been addressed. But incidentally, it has escalated. It's injustice. Now, for a long time, I remember growing up, I went to Kaduna prison with some people from the church to go and visit. And I met General Lekot, Zamani Lekot. He was in one cell, one little cell with iron bars and all that, in the horrifying situation. And he told me that what brought him there was injustice. That is many years ago. That injustice have not been dealt with. Now you ask yourself the question. We hear regularly that some people come from somewhere, attack villages, kill people, rape women, kill children, and kidnap people and go. And government says, oh, don't retaliate. And government imposes curfew to say don't move. And the people remain in their houses. While they are in their houses, more of this criminal element comes and kill people and go. And there is no action. Just like we are talking about the military not acting and the police not acting, there is no action from anybody to address, to at least apprehend or to go after the criminal elements. But then you ask some people to stay home. You ask them not to acquire any equipment to defend themselves. They cannot acquire arms to defend themselves. They are sitting duck. Then these attacks take place, 1,500 people are killed, and then we forget about it until another 1 or 2 weeks when the attack repeats itself, and there is no government present whatsoever. So if there was the political will to address it, this is why I think that El-Rufai is said to be doing well in terms of infrastructure, but the purpose of government is security and welfare of the people, and he has failed woefully in ensuring the security of the people of Kaduna State, because the entire state is under the influence of all manner of criminals. In the north, in the center, you are talking about criminal elements. You are talking about bandits that are actually inspired by terrorists, so you can't call them terrorists. In the south, you are talking about this attack consistently. So I think that if this governor really wants to be remembered as somebody who came and served well, he must not go without ensuring that the issues in southern Kaduna are addressed. As it is today, he doesn't seem to be bothered. They just issue statements. Oh, 50 people have been killed, 30 people have been killed, and then that is it.
Is there a way the federal government can intervene in the Kaduna issue, security-wise?
Yes. I mean, security is on the plate of the federal government. If the federal government really wants to deal with the issue of Kaduna, it has the resources. If the leadership of the country, the political leadership at the highest level, want this insecurity in Kaduna State to be addressed, is within the purview of the power that be. Remember that Kaduna have more military institutions than any other state in Nigeria. So it beggars you to say, okay, so if we have such security assets all over Kaduna, and yet the whole of Kaduna, the whole of Kaduna is enmeshed in insecurity. If you look at the insecurity map of Nigeria, Kaduna is number one. Every single inch of Kaduna is under one form of criminal act. And not just ordinary, but we are talking about violent terrorists, criminal attacks. So it is, again, like I keep saying in this studio and other places, that our problem is basically that of political will and political action. If until government is ready to take those political will and political action, we continue to be where we are. Why will the military refuse? You saw what happened at the airport. The military refused to act.
Well, okay, sorry, Tsunami. If you say the military refused to act, that will counter, the reports we got from that, because even the Nama boss there, I can't remember the rank now, who confirmed the incident and confirmed the killing of a guard who who was stationed at navigational aid equipment, did say that they invited the military and they were swift in their response, and that was why even that attack was quelled in the first place. It could have been worse than what we saw.
Okay, look at the scenario. 200 odd terrorists riding on a bike come to an airport, and the military are within that vicinity. They are able to operate, and or they were prevented from doing what they actually came for. I believe that those guys didn't come to operate on this particular occasion. They came to test the system. They came to do some what we call penetration test. What is possible? What can we possibly do? My fear is that, you see, in kidnapping, there's what we call kidnap value. That's why you see kidnappers go to a secondary school and kidnap as many children as possible, because those children have kidnap value. The parents will be willing to pay ransom. My fear is that they are done with schools, and if those terrorists had been able to attack the aircraft filled with passengers, and they carry as many people as possible and enter into the, you know how much they can get, because the people that are flying there are the wealthy people. They can pay, so they have kidnap value. So what you see is a rehearsal of what those guys will do in the days and months to come. They will come into that airport and they will grab as many passengers as they can, and they will disappear into the Binigwari forest, and then we'll start another line. That's my first fear. My second
David, why is Kaduna suddenly, yes, I know there's been, these unrest in the suburbs of the hinterlands of the states from years back, particularly southern Kaduna, but the terrorist attacks and the persistence, of terrorists in attacking Kaduna, in attacking a state that houses, a lot of military formations, including the Defense Academy. This is where my major concern is. Why has it become so easy when the military is largely on ground in that state and has the capacity and is equipped in that particular state to be able to not just foil attacks, but apprehend these terrorists?
Well, Kaduna is central. You see, in the north, the geography and geopolitics of the north, Kaduna is central. Anything that happens in Kaduna reverberates around the country. So if you want to see, terrorist intention is to create a maximum situation of insecurity, of fear. They want to create fear in the heart of the people. And they've done it in the far north. Maybe they didn't get as much attention, but they come to Kaduna because when a terrorist attack, they create an exaggerated a situation of fear in the heart of the people. So Kaduna is a very good fertile land where you can, and remember the proximity of Kaduna to Abuja. I recall also that everything happening in Kaduna reverberates around the country. So in terms of strategy, in terms of plans, Kaduna is a very good place to strike and to act, because there you continue to have information, you continue to have publicity. The next, of course, strategic location is Abuja. So, but now all this is happening in Kaduna. But the point I was making, my fears are this. My fears are for the civilian aviation, civilian aircraft flying around. We are talking about terrorists that have massive capability. They have advanced weapons. They have high caliber weapons, and aircraft are particularly vulnerable at the point of taking off and landing. Now, if the entire environment is infested with people whose arming and capability over the years have non-state actors have significantly been upgraded, then I fear for what is the possibility of what could happen when these people are so brazen and have their control. And you asked me about the military. After all, fans said the military came. If the military was there, military didn't go there to have a party with the bandits or with the terrorists. Military are supposed to go there and engage. See, we call them armed forces. Do you understand? They are not civilians. They are not police. They are armed forces. So they were supposed to apply maximum force to deal with the terrorists. But we didn't hear that one was injured, one was arrested, one was shot. How do you explain that? The previous night, the report of fans says this same group of criminals were there. They were scared away. By 12 p.m. the next day, they were back, and none of them have been apprehended. So you should be afraid. You should be worried for Nigeria. You should be worried.
And that was broad daylight.
Broad daylight. Yes, they are there. Not far from there is the Kaduna is the airport. There is the Air Force airport is there at Kau. So it's less than a few minutes for aircraft to have gotten there and trace them. So where are the bandits? Where are the terrorists that operated? Nobody traced them. Nobody followed them up to where they had gone to. We just drove them back. And the next thing I want us to take note of is that because of the poverty in the rural areas in the northern states, particularly Kaduna and the surrounding state, there are a lot more young people that are looking at the bandits and the terrorists as being things people to aspire to be like. You see them with money, you see them with arms, you see them with their bikes and all that, and other young people want to be like them. So the capability to recruit and get more hands to join this is exponential. It's scary, and there is no committed force from government to address the problem. So it's a wildfire that is just spreading everywhere.
So let's look for solution. We are going now, but let's look for solution. Really, how do you think this a repeat or a recurrence can be averted? Because if it has gone the way of Kaduna, and like you said, nobody has been apprehended, nobody knows where the terrorists are hiding, they can relaunch an attack, or better still move to other airports, and that's the fear.
No. Nobody tells you that nobody knows where the terrorists are hiding. The governor is an authority, have told you they know where the terrorists are. So that's the issue. The government said, we know where the terrorists are. We know their mode of operation. We listen to their communication. So the problem is not now that we don't know who the terrorists are, where they are located, their mode of operation, is the willingness to deal with them. And you ask me, so what do we do going forward?
Yes, from a security point of view,
yes,
you know, your suggestion on how this issue can be addressed.
You and I cannot go and confront them. We have constitutionally appointed people that should do that. And we have a commander-in-chief of the armed forces. His instruction, nobody is supposed to be able to breach it. He should be firm and give the military and give the security services instruction to ensure that in a given period of time, that the entirety of the criminal elements, bandits, terrorists that are operating not only in Kaduna but across the country are dealt with.
All right.
Until there is that firm action from number one to say do this, and then because truth, he has said this several times, but it was never
Exactly. That's the point. Really.
So but we cannot throw up our hands in the air, but we must continue to talk about this, that we appeal to the president to take the necessary step to ensure that the military do the needful.
So do maybe
yes, because
more than talking.
Yes, because next time it might not just be that they invaded the wrong way.
Right.
You might be having to deal with more serious security consequences if actions are not taken.
David Okoro has joined us to look at concerns over the invasion of the Kaduna International Airport over the weekend, and to talk to us about the concerns that many have raised if national security has been compromised. David is a security strategist who is the CEO of the International Institute for Security and Governmental Studies. David Okoro, thank you very much for being here this morning.
We appreciate your time.
Thank you so much for your patience to watch from the beginning to the end. I hope you have learned something from the video you have just watched. The video you have just watched is to bring information to your doorstep and for educational purpose. It is not to demonize anybody. Let us watch continuously and see who can be able to make a sense out of every nonsense we are seeing. We must continue. We move. It doesn't matter what they do. It doesn't matter what they say. They will kill us. We will kill them. At the end of the day, Biafra is here. Thank you for watching. If you have not subscribed to the channel, please kindly subscribe to the channel. Click the notification bell so that you're notified each time I upload a video. You will be among the first to receive it. Thank you and remain blessed. Bye-bye. See you again.